to flight operations during this time. Now, motorists plying Kaduna-Zaria Highway have been grappling with serious traffic gridlock following an early morning accident. Traffic situation between Kawo flyover and Rigachikun is becoming chaotic, and motorists spend hours before passing the area. The problem is as a result of accidents which occurred in the early hours of Thursday on Rigachikun Bridge. The accident involved two articulated vehicles, 18-seater Hammer bus carrying passengers and a Toyota Camry, amidst heavy downpour in the early hours of the day. And those are the stories trending on the hour. Thanks for watching. I'm Nancy Godiangonu.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Hello, thank you for joining us. This is Platform on the network service of the NTA. I'm Ruth Aguele. Demographic data are important for national development, but the process of collating this data can be challenging. Now, the quality and reliability of a nation's demographic information is partly a reflection of the quality of the census. For a population like Nigeria, of course, it requires accurate information because this is the basis of policy formulation and planning. The National Population Commission saddled with the responsibility of producing census data for the country, has expressed readiness to conduct the first ever digitally compliant population and housing census come 2023. The Commission says it has successfully completed the enumeration area demarcation, that is EAD, in the 772 local government areas out of the 774 local government areas across the country, as well as the first and second census pre-test in the selected enumeration areas in the 36 states and the FCT, of course. With the outcomes of these preparatory activities, while reassuring Nigerians on its mission to deliver a credible and reliable census, especially as the trial census has commenced. But accuracy, acceptability of the census to be inclusive and user-friendly data are highly important. So will the Commission deliver on its mandate? Well, we'll continue to put our eyes on that. But 16 years after Nigeria gears up for census, that's our focus on Platform today. And our guest is Dr. Eyitayo Oyetunji, Chairman, Public Affairs and Advocacy Committee, MPC, and Federal Commissioner for Oyo State. Good to have you once again on Platform.
Thank you. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be with you.
All right. And let's take you through a bit of his profile. Dr. Eyitayo Oyetunji started his career as a lecturer with the Nigerian Defense Academy in 1980. He joined the National Population Commission in 1990 and was involved in the 1991 census as a comptroller in Oyo State. He thereafter served as technical assistant to the Director General of MPC during the 2006 census. He continued his service in the Commission at different capacity as a secretary to the Commission, a position he held for 8 years, as well as the Director Administration and Acting Director General before retiring in 2015. After retiring, Dr. Oyetunji had the rare privilege of being appointed again into the Commission as a Federal Commissioner and a member of the Commission in 2017. During his first tenure, Dr. Oyetunji was appointed by the President to cover the office of the Chairman of the Commission in acting capacity for 6 months. Having completed his first tenure, Dr. Oyetunji was reappointed for a second term and is currently serving as chairman of Public Affairs Committee of the Commission. He holds a PhD degree in sociology from the University of Ibadan. All right, and you know how we do it on platform. We have a panelist, and this one is Olusheye Adiagbo. He's our correspondent here on NTA. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
All right. Dr. Oyetunji, I remember the last time you were here, less than a month or so or more, and we talked about the pre-tests, the trial census that will commence in June, and it did commence actually, still on it. But what's the level of progress so far?
Thank you very much. I must say we at the Commission, we thank God, we're grateful that we're making progress.
Okay.
Everything is working according to our timetable. We promised that we're going to do the trial census in June, and it started in June. Presently, it started first with recruitment of functionaries, and like we have never done before, we opened a portal where all Nigerians were free to apply. And Nigerians applied in their hundreds of thousands on our platform, and those who were qualified were selected for the various local governments where the activity will take place. Training started. We are now in the 9th day of training across the country. Training is due to be completed by Friday, and thereafter field work will continue. That's where we are now.
Okay, so the field work is on pause for now. Is that what you're saying, until after the training?
Yes, normally you can't go to the field without training those who work in the field. But we're scheduled to go to the field by 11th.
And I'm sure a lot of, what will I call it now? A lot of, this is after 16 years, this is happening, and it's something you're doing digitally. So, for those who have been on the field for the short time before they continue after the training, what did they notice, that will be different when the actual census, takes off in 2023?
Well, there's so many differences. But basically, the methodology is the same.
Okay.
Differences are in terms of scope and space that will be covered. But in terms of the methodology, exactly what we are going to do during the actual census is what we're doing now, because we want to see how well what we will do will be now. So it's a dress rehearsal. Like everything that will be done during the census is what we're doing during the trial census. We're testing like I said, first the workforce. Do we have available those who have the competencies and capacities that we need for the census? We're testing the training. We're using 12 days now to train the functionaries. Will these 12 days be sufficient for the main census? Would we need more days? Would it be lesser? That's what we're testing. We're testing logistics. We've had to distribute materials now. Do we need to improve on that? Especially when we move on to a higher scale, where you have much more materials and resources to be distributed. We're testing advocacy, publicity, and public enlightenment. How much public enlightenment do we require for people to understand what we're doing? So the whole gamut of the entire process is what we're testing even at this level.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. I would like doctors also let us understand the transparency level of the recruitment. I remember following up the recruitment process and the exercise, everything was geofence, the issue of geofencing the portal, the issue of if you're in Abuja, you cannot register and you go and serve or something like that. Nigerians are not clear, because we are still going to be recruiting more than 1 million people for the main census. Now from the findings, we've gathered like 10,000 Nigerians, or over 10,000 for the trial census. Now, how transparent is this recruitment process going forward?
Yes. The census is as good as those who conduct it. And that's why we're taking time and ensuring that we get the right caliber, but not just the right caliber, the right persons. And like you said, the process to be transparent. I can assure you that the process was 100% transparent. First, relied heavily on the NIN number, which we believe already has credible identification for all persons. The geofencing that you're mentioning is simply that if you are not in the local government where you say you come from, because our policy is that those who will be involved in the exercise should come from the local community. They should be people that the community can trust. They should be people that understand the local language. They should be people who are very familiar with the terrain. And for that to happen, they should be sourced from the communities. But we do know that a lot of people are looking for employment, more so that the trial census is not a 100% sample, only selected areas. So we do know that some young people will want to migrate from those areas where the census is not taking place to those places. That's why the geofencing. For you to come onto our portal, you will have to be physically around the local government where you claim to have come from.
And Shea mentioned 1 million ad hoc staff. That's for the 2023 census.
Yes.
Now, that's a large workforce the commission is planning to recruit. Does it have the capacity? Because that is huge. You have to pay them. You have to take care of logistics and all of that. Why that large number?
Why the large number? Nigeria is a big country.
Okay.
I've had opportunity to travel to other countries where similar exercises are taking place. I had some business with them in Cape Verde, and they were talking about what they were doing. I just had to smile. The whole of Cape Verde is not up to 2 states in Nigeria. Nigeria is the second most popular, the most populous country in Africa. And in terms of space, we're almost 1 million square kilometers. So for that huge country, doing a census is like a war operation. It's a huge operation, and you need as much as that. But the good thing is they are going to be our youth from Nigeria. Okay. It's an opportunity for some of them to get employed. It's an opportunity for them to learn new technologies, new skills, and all of that. And that's, like I said, that's why we're testing it. We want to be sure that the quality of persons that we have can actually do the job. But so far, from the response we had, even for the trial census, we are not in doubt that there are sufficient numbers of Nigeria from every part of this country that can be engaged for this exercise, even in those large numbers.
Just before Shea comes in, I know he wants to ask a follow-up to that. The numbers you're recruiting for the trial cannot be compared to the numbers you're going to recruit.
Certainly not.
So, what is the criteria really? Is it just anybody who just feels, okay, I can do this? Because there's been advocacy, or rather experts have come out to say, if we want this next census to be reliable and accurate, experts, so to say, should also be involved in the whole data process and all of that. So are they part of this recruitment, or these are just ad hoc staff that will go into the field?
There are different levels of expertise that are required. I'm proud to say, for example, that the entire methodology, the technology that we're using was developed in-house in National Population Commission. Just yesterday, my chairman was on the television, and he said Nigeria has actually been nominated for an award for the kind of exercise, an international award. We are bold to say that the methodology we're using has not been used anywhere in Africa. In fact, the United Nations is setting out to understudy what we are doing to see how this can be shared across the world. And this was developed in-house within the National Population Commission. At other levels of expertise, we have involved people from the academia. They were the first set of people to be trained, to be part of those who will retrain others. And they have been part of the process. Even in the monitoring and evaluation process, we are inviting with collaboration with the UNFPA, so that we are not the one evaluating ourselves. We are bringing in people from the academia who are going to oversee even this trial census. Independently, they are going to monitor and they are going to evaluate what we are doing. So this mass number that you're talking Apart from them, like I said, there are other levels of expertise with involved people. There are people from the United Nations that are with us. The chief technical advisor that is with us in-house was appointed by the by UNFPA, and he's covered censuses in Ghana, in Kenya, and so on. He's part of the process. So it's not just the ad hoc people in the field that are involved. Expertise has been drawn to ensure international best standards.
Okay.
I also want Doctor to also explain to us in terms of the choice of the number of local government areas that we are covering in these trial census. We also gather that we just have one local government in 6 geopolitical zones to be entirely covered. Now, just the choice of these local government, why these local government in this space and not in this space? What are we trying to achieve?
Yeah, thank you very much. For the trial census, the sampling methodology that has been adopted is what is called purposive sampling. That is, we have certain things we want to target. It's not a random sample where you say, well, I want the entire universe to be represented. And like you said, we've selected one local government each from the 6 geopolitical zones. But in addition to that, in the remaining 31 states, we're also doing certain sampling of local governments. Those 6 were selected first because we want to test the entire data production system. For the kind of technology we're using requires an ICT architecture that is big. For you to sufficiently test that architecture, you need quite a high volume of data. And that's why we're covering entire local governments. In fact, we will have wished to cover even more than that. But you know how expensive, like you noted, it will be to do that. So for the entire local government, we're going to enumerate all the persons in those 6 local governments in order to test the output, the input and output of data, to see whether our ICT architecture can actually carry it, because there are so many things involved. There's power supply, there's internet connectivity, there's access to the cloud where our servers are and all that. For us to test and be sure that in 2023 this is going to work, we needed that large size of data. Now, in addition to that, there are other aspects of the census process that we felt we also needed to test. For example, logistics, security, terrain, and so on. So these 6 that have been chosen, if you look at North Central, Karu local government, which is a suburb of FCT, was chosen. We didn't want to focus too much on Lagos, where we had that kind of situation in 2006. But what you have here is that more than half of the population of Karu local government actually work in the FCT. They come to the FCT in the morning, and at night they move back to Nasarawa State. We want to see how that will play out in the census situation. Presently, we have over 4,000 enumeration areas in Karu local government, quite large. And for that scenario, we want to see in a real census situation where these people now might have to stay at home and not come to the FCT. How is it going to work out? We've chosen Karu for that. In the south, we chose Bayelsa, Brass, which is a riverine, not riverine, an oceanic setup. We want to see whether we can cope with that kind of situation in a real census situation. We've taken in Adamawa, we chose a mountainous place because we want to see accessibility to those remote communities in those high hills, in those mountains, and so on. In Katsina State, we chose Daura, which is a border local government. We want to see the effect of migration, whether neighboring state like Niger, can we curtail migration in a real census situation? And we chose a neutral, normal local government in Anambra for the southeast. So those are the kind of considerations that went into the selection of those 6 local government. But in addition to the 6, like I said, in the remaining 31 states and FCT, we also selected three local governments in each of the 3 senatorial zones, making 9 local governments altogether. However, in those local governments, this time around, we're not doing the entire population of the local governments. We're doing an average of about 4 EAs, 5 EAs, which we call a supervisory area. So all of this, we're sure, will give us a good picture of what will happen in 2023.
That's exactly what I want to ask. Now, you're not picking the entire LGAs in a community, in a state, for instance. How are you sure, or rather, how is the commission certain of the fact that what you experience in this particular local government area is what you're going to experience when you want to expand the scope come 2023? Because peculiarities are different.
Well, that's what sampling is all about. You take a sample and you're able to estimate and project what will happen in the entire universe. I mean, we're experts in that. It's National Population Commission, don't forget. We're a statistical organization and we're experts in that. Of course, what are we saying? Right now, practicals are going on, and I'm monitoring the one that is going on in my state, in Oyo State. They're going there, they are asking people. Some people are saying, what's going on? We thought census is next year, and they're explaining. I'm monitoring. Very interesting. You see things that are going on. They are uploading data from the cloud. The young people are excited. They can't believe that this kind of technology is available in Nigeria.
But you're going to tell us more about that technology just after she...
Maybe I should have brought a team to enrich you.
I think this is where we need to talk about the level of awareness and publicity at the grassroots. We're still going to talk about security, but we've got information. Yes, at the national level, superb awareness, superb work, but I still believe from my own findings and from the responses that especially the chairman at the commissioners, at the state level, how are you, which I believe you're one of them, how are you people ensuring enough awareness to the people? You just said it, and that some people were asking, what is going on? And it's trial census.
Because before just a follow-up to that, before that 2023 census, even before this trial, we're expecting to see maybe like a jingle on radio, TV. People should just know using different languages. This is a big deal for Nigeria.
Shay, if I open my phone for you, you will run. The amount of posts of what's going on across the country. My colleagues are doing it real big. You see, it's a double-edged sword.
Okay.
The publicity we're doing has to be focused and concentrated where we're working. Because the way we are in Nigeria, if I come to your local government and I don't go to the neighboring local government, they're going to wonder, what happened? How come you're not coming to me? We've had to explain that it's computer that chose you and all that. So our publicity is concentrated in those areas where the actual trial census will take place.
Okay.
The practicals, like in my state, is taking place in Ibadan. And only one local government is selected in Ibadan, which is Ibadan Northeast. And even Ibadan Northeast is only one community, Okay Ibadan, where we're going to work. If you go to Okay Ibadan now, almost the entire area is filled up with our handbills. I personally have had meetings with community leaders. I've met with the chairman of the local government, and in all those other local governments, we've had those meetings. The local communities of those areas are well aware that we are coming, they are ready for us, and all of that. But it will be foolhardy now for me to go to the entire Oyo state and begin to talk about trial census to everyone, and then they are waiting. These people, even in those communities, we've had to narrow down and explain to the others that look, they will come, and just a few areas. Don't say why didn't they come to you? It's just computer, it's just a test. So that's why for now, for the trial census in particular, the publicity is zeroed on those communities where we shall be. The jingles in all languages are already on. Maybe I'll come to you. You help us to play some of these jingles. We have
You come
jingles
to the NTA management.
You're NTA as far as I'm concerned. NTA now.
Okay,
When I say
but before that,
but we're going to scale up all of this. Just yesterday, my chairman was talking about a stakeholder meeting that is going to take place immediately after the trial census to be declared open by His Excellency Mr. President himself. We're going to bring together all the stakeholders to talk about, to raise questions, to brief them how far we've gone, to show what we have done so far, and in order to elicit inspiration about the confidence that we require to be imposed on us and all of that.
And it's a good thing you are the chairman, publicity and advocacy for the committee, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure Sheye is asking, beyond this trial census, this is the right time the commission should be strategizing on how to educate Nigerians that census is, before we know it, next year is here.
You're right.
So what is the strategy in place to educate, especially those in the rural communities where they're because this is a very long time since the last census, 2006 we're talking about. So the sensitization has to be huge.
You're right. It's a huge task. And even more so that we have elections.
Yes.
Also competing for attention.
Yes.
And we're also careful. We don't want to get mixed up with the electoral process. We don't want people to see the exercise as an extension of the political process for selecting leaders. So we're careful about all this, but we're taking it one step at a time. We want to complete the trial census, look at lessons we've learned, look at how things are likely to shape out in 2023, and then launch out, in a careful manner, like I said, because this is the season of elections. We want to launch out now and let Nigerians, first of all, appreciate that this census must be done because we've waited this long and we must use this opportunity. Secondly, this census has nothing to do with the elections. There's no agenda whatsoever. The outcome of the census, we are deliberately timing it in such a manner that it will have no effect on the outcome of the elections. The elections will have been concluded. Thirdly, that this census is for development. That Nigeria, more than ever before, in the light of our recent experiences, including insecurity and all of that, we need information, accurate information about our people, about the geographic space of Nigeria and so on, for us to move forward. And thirdly, this census is for accountability. We want to hold our leaders accountable, by bringing out the information. This is how the situation really is. People will say, I've done so many schools and all that. By the time the actual information is on the table, Nigerians will be able to say, hey, this is what you said you've done, but this is what's on ground. So the reasons for the census, we want to make sure is clear to Nigerians. And like I always say, counting people is not like counting any other thing. It's not like counting stones. It's not like counting cars. People must be part of the process. And that's why our theme is you count, be counted. Every one of us, to count, we must make sure we're part of we must be involved. If you don't get involved, you are telling yourself you don't count in Nigeria.
Sure.
If you believe you count in Nigeria, then get counted. So the involvement of the people is critical, for the outcome of the census.
I would like Doctor to also explain, good, you're doing what you can do on the level of awareness, but the level of security and insecurity in the country, how far have you put this in consideration with this trial census? With the trial census, how have you ensured the level of security in the country in place ahead of the census?
Well, for the trial census, like I said, it's localized. And we've zoomed into those areas. We've gotten all the security agencies in those areas involved. They are part of the process, both regular and irregular security outfits, vigilantes, in my area, they are Matekuns and all of that. They're all part of the process, to ensure safety of our workers for the period. But for the main census, these things are tied together. The first thing is for people to appreciate the importance and the need to do a census that is for our own good, is for our own development. When people own it, when people appreciate it, then the people will not allow anyone to stop it from taking place. That was the kind of thing that happened in Anambra elections. A lot of people were saying, no, that elections cannot take place in Anambra State. There's no way elections were going to take place. Weeks to the election, that was the feeling everywhere. But as the election drew near, people told us, hey, it's in our best interest to have an election. We don't have an election here, anything can happen. A state of emergency can be declared and all kinds of things, and for that reason, the people themselves decided that this election must take place, and the election took place without any hitches. So the first step is to make people appreciate. There's no hidden agenda. This whole exercise is not to give anyone any advantage, it's for development and all. When people buy into the exercise, we can give security around the country, but when people own the exercise, they are going to make sure that it's
talking
successful.
About acceptance from the public.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, let's go on a break. We're back shortly, so stay tuned.
Says that the Buhari-led administration has made remarkable progress,
like Lafia Transmission Station nearing completion.
Africa does not need charity, but partnerships that will promote the adequate investment
with the cooperation of all.
Sharing firsthand the experiences of reporters on the field as they bring to you weekly the beauty of Nigeria's diverse culture and the economic potentials therein. The Correspondents, development through the eye of the grassroots, showing every Monday at 1:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA, with a repeat broadcast on NTA News 24 and NTA International. Join us.
Now, what could make someone set out on a journey and not get to his or her destination? Now, imagine the victim who cannot reach out to these responders, who doesn't even have the phone to reach out. Hello, thank you very much for joining us on platform. I'm Ruth Agwe.
And the girl, especially if the girl is a minor, she's not yet 18 years, if she gets pregnant, realize that church girl is sent out of school and the boy is left in school.
Just to pick the call.
So how much sensitization is there?
I don't agree. A lot of people are just deaf.
Thanks for staying tuned. It's still platform, and our guest, Dr. Eyitayo Oyetunji, is still very much around. And we were talking about security before the break. I'm sure you rounded that off. But let's look at the reliable technological innovations that the Commission has deployed, to read any form of manipulation, so to say, of the data. This is going to be the first time Nigeria will be experiencing a fully digitalized census. Break it down for us. What is the picture like? In a way that Nigerians will understand that those days of, the old ways are gone.
Yeah. Basically, what we're bringing on board is beyond just digitization or digitalization. We're marrying geospatial data with statistical data. And that is important for accuracy, acceptability, and all of that, and credibility. In the past, we bring out data that is mainly statistical. There are 100 males, 200 females. They are so ages. Some of them went to school, some of them, and all of that. But now we're bringing in geospatial data to say that if this is Ruth, you can locate Ruth where she lives. We will show the building where Ruth actually lives. And that building, beyond being a picture, has a GPS, has a geographical reference that is constant from anywhere in the world. It's a spot. It's a geographic spot. And you can locate Ruth in that spot. Her household is there. The building where she resides is there. So if we say there are so number of people in this world, we're going to tell you the buildings in which they reside or they resided at the time of the census. The household, you go to the building, we're going to tell you this is a residential building. These are the households that were there at the time of census. These were the persons that were there. So you can verify what we're going to do. That's for geographic distance. And it's so useful when it comes to planning and development. Because now you're not just saying I have 20 males, 50 males. No, you know where they are. So you want to locate infrastructure, you want to locate facilities, you want to do all of that, or you want to see the problems. You tie the people to where they are. That's just one. For the trial census, I was in a community and they were saying that, look, Oga, you had all your grammar. The last time they did census here, all the forms we completed, we had that when it went to the local government headquarters, they disappeared. They say, well, Mr. Lagbaja carried all the funds and ran away with them because they didn't want our village to be bigger than the headquarters of the local government. So all this one you are telling us, how are you sure the same thing will not happen? And I said, thank God you brought it up. One of the attributes of the digital census is there will be no paper to steal. It's not like election. Say the man carried the ballot box and ran away. There's no paper to steal. Everything is in the PDA, the tablet. And this time around, on a daily basis, the Emirator is going to upload onto the server in the sky. And people are tracking it on the daily basis. So he too, what he did today, is already uploaded. He can't have it tomorrow.
Okay.
So the idea that somebody is going to hijack it or is going to take it away cannot occur under a digital census, because everything is in the tablet there, and it's going to sign off. That's why the recruitment process we're adopting is also a digital process, because on the point of recruitment, that Emirator has been allocated an ID. It's that ID that enables him to upload the EA map that is going to work, which is also in a digital form. So everything about that enumeration area is tied to him. It's tied to that ID. And every record of what he did is tied to him. Nobody can tamper with it. Nobody can change it.
Not even him.
Not even he once he has uploaded.
Okay.
So for accuracy and for reliability, the digital census is just it. But like I said, we have not even added the geographic data to it. Not just now that the figures, but we're also not tying it to the geographic space where the figure exists. And that's why I say it's revolutionary. And everybody is just, they are saying, look, you guys will pull off this, it will be wonderful. And we are confident we're going to pull it off, because nobody imposed it on us. We thought it out ourselves. And by the time we do this, we're sure we're going to give Nigeria the best census ever, thanks to the technology.
We also need to remember that we are in an environment where you can get to a location that will not be network, power story in Nigeria. How has MTC put all these things in consideration?
Technology is sweet. It's good. You know, it has solution for itself. If you do not have internet connectivity, that we can also take care of. You can keep your data in your tablet until you get to where there's internet connectivity, and then you can upload. Similarly for power, there are all kinds of things in the market now. You have solar batteries, you have solar data banks, and all of that. Yeah. All of that we're going to give our functionaries, so that where they are not readily accessible to electricity, they can use those backups to keep their tablets on.
Maybe we should also talk about the timetable again for these trial census. We know we are on with the training of functionaries. Yeah. After that, what next? And when is the whole exercise mopping up?
Yeah, the train, like I told you, is ending on Friday, and field work starts on 11th. It's going to start with what we call building numbering and household listing. Basically, you just go number the buildings within your own space that's been allocated to you as an enumerator. You number the buildings have already been numbered during the enumeration, demarcation exercise. So when you download it on your app, you're going to have that. You go back now and actually revisit those buildings, ensure they are there. If new ones have come, you and your supervisor will note it. The GPS location will be noted. Then you also list the households there. That will take place from 16th, from 11th to 16th. That will take place. Then the actual enumeration will now continue from 17th to 19th, 5 days. We'll do actual enumeration. And then there's also a period now for validation. Like I told you, the enumeration is not starting de novo, it's not starting afresh, it's starting where the EAD signed off. So the enumerator is going to download what was done during EAD, is going to now go and verify, update and all of that. And when he does that, he's going to send it back to the server. And then the experts, the GIS experts, are now going to verify what we have done again to make sure that it syncs with what was there. That's going to take another 3 days. Then you now go back when we are not sure that okay, this is what was done during the EAD has been updated. So you don't just go and manufacture anything. For example, no, enumeration won't start until we have sorted out all that. Then we'll go for actual enumeration. And even after actual enumeration, which will take place from 20th to 24th of July, we'll see go back for the mop-up from 25th to 30th. So it's a thorough exercise that we're going to do.
Let me take you back to accessibility. What about those remote areas? Now, I'm not talking about the trial census. I'm talking about the main census come 2023. There are some areas, you agree with me, Dr. Oyetunji, they are not accessible. Will they be cut off? What will happen to them?
You can tell me that. That's why we purposefully selected some of those areas. In my state, in Oyo State.
I'm not talking about the trial. I'm talking about for the main one.
We're trying it now.
Okay.
To see what we will need to do.
To get
whether
there.
we shall need donkeys, whether we shall need camels, whether we shall do. No, it's not funny. I'm telling you. In my state, in Oyo State, for example, one of the local governments we've chosen is for the trial census is Atisbo. And the community, I'm told, that there you actually have to rely on the network of Benin Republic. By motorbike is 7 hours to the local government headquarters. By motorbike.
7 hours?
7 hours. By motorbike. In the local government, I'm telling you. So, all of that we're testing now. By that time, now we'll know what we need to arrange for. You know, working with the local community. Whether motorbikes, whether boats, whether that and all of that. But wherever, the beauty of the technology we're using, which is satellite imageries, is that it is not where you walk to and discover. No, the satellite imagery is not hindered by accessibility. It's an aerial photograph. So it has already seen all those places. Whether they are accessible on the ground or not, the technology has already brought them out. So we can already see them.
But
so
accessibility will now be what you do.
You know, it's critical.
Yes.
Unlike the previous technology, it's you that will discover, it's you that will walk and go and look. So you can actually miss out some places previously. But with this technology, that cannot happen. You will have seen everywhere where human residents are, where people live. So it's up to us now. We must cover those, we must find a way to get there. That we have done during the EAD. Everywhere where there are communities living, we've already accessed them during the EAD, and they're already on our maps. So we access everywhere, I can tell you, for the EAD, because the way we were working, the team that handles the satellite imagery, our GIS experts, they stay back in the office, and then you go to the field, you come by, say I finished. Though they look at their map, say finish what? See here, see here, see here. You have not reached. Go back. And you have to go back. So that way we have ensured that everywhere is covered in Nigeria.
This is where logistics will be a challenge, because if you have to devise, creative means of getting to those hidden locations, so to say, you should be putting strategies in place.
Ruth, I agree with you. It's a big challenge. For the EAD, it was not simultaneous. You understand? You do it here, you finish, you go there. For the action sensors, it's going to be simultaneous. Everybody has to reach there at the same time, and that's not going to be easy at all. But what we're doing, like we did in 2006, we're collaborating with everyone, with security forces, with the Air Force, with everyone. And to this end, my chairman has already, for example, visited the Air Force chief, the Army chief, the Naval chief. Is because we're collaborating together. It's not a one-man business. The logistics committee is made up of all these agencies that have expertise in logistics and that have the capacity to move to every part of the country. But I do agree with you. It's not. Nigeria is a vast country. Nigeria is vast.
So what is the strategy in place?
That's what I just told you. We have a logistics committee that stretches beyond National Population Commission, that is inclusive, like I said, of all those agencies, including even private sector. Julius Berger, all of those people. And that is replicated in every state. There's going to be the same logistics committee in every state. They are the ones that will map out the strategies to reach. The good thing is we already know them in advance. That's a first plus. We already know them in advance. That reduces the problem. The problem is now how to get there.
Now, I want us to talk about funding, because there's no way not to talk about sensors. That's what is the state of things. Is it because I've heard UNFPA sending recommendation to the present administration, at least from my own findings, I heard that we have 40% already given by the UNFPA boss given for this exercise. What is the funding like for the trial sensors and the main sensors?
Let me start by saying I don't know how much UNFP has brought, but I know that the federal government has made a huge provision in the 2022 appropriation, which is what we are using as we move forward. But undoubtedly, census is a very expensive exercise.
Yes.
There's no country that ever does it alone, not to even talk about countries like Nigeria, that is so big, so large, and so diverse. It's almost impossible for any government to take money from 1 year's appropriation to do census. That's why usually you spread the activity over a period. And we are happy that we have done enumeration area demarcation. It's not in 1 year, it has been spread. We're doing preparations this year. We're expecting additional funds next year. However, like you noted, we expect international support. But everyone is looking, can these people pull it off? They want to be sure. The trial census is a major step. And that's why everyone is involved. They have observers, they have everything. By the time we pull off the trial census and put it on the table, and everyone sees that this is for real, we expect much more funding to come from donors. For the 2006 census, for example, 50% of the exercise was funded by the EU. 50% was funded by the EU. Nigeria provided only 50% of the funding. So we don't expect this to be different. More so that we have brought in a technology that is gladdening to many of the partners. They're all excited that Nigeria can do this. And this year, the world is 8 billion people. And Nigeria is contributing immensely to that.
Yes.
In the next 50 years, Nigeria will be the third largest population in the world. Everybody is interested in the outcome of this census we are doing beyond Nigeria. They need the information to plan not just for Nigeria, but for the whole world. The world is a small village. You need information. So we expect that resources will also come from outside. For now, we're taking one step at a time. We've done the AD successfully. We're about to complete the trial census. And then in earnest, we'll face the main census.
All right, Dr. Oyetunji, we're rounding off. So I need you to speak to Nigerians, to tell them, you talked about cooperation, you talked about participation, And of course, the goal for the commission is success on both ends. What's your message?
Well, I start first with the government. We can't thank this government enough that they have taken the bull by the horn, even at this late hour, to say, look, whatever it takes, we want to bequeath this legacy even to the incoming administration. We have total support, from the highest level of government, and that's very encouraging. Also, in almost every state, our state governments are giving us the support that we need. We will of course need more as we move forward. For the enumeration area demarcation exercise, we have support from virtually all the communities where we worked. That is highly commendable from Nigerians. All we can ask is, as we now move to the final stages, let's not withdraw that support. Rather, let's give in more support so that this exercise will be a huge success. We are just months away now, and it's going to be at the tail end of this administration. Let's get it done. It's taken us 16 years, like the title of our discussion today. We can't afford to miss the opportunity. So we are happy with the support we are receiving. We just want to ask that let it continue, let it be more. Let's not have too many dissenting voices. There's nothing about the census other than having information for development. We have separated ourselves from the political process. That's why the trial census, for example, is coming up. We deliberately shifted it forward so that it will come up after the primaries. Let the primaries finish before we go. The same way with it. So let Nigerians believe us. We have nothing to do with the political process. It's just to get information for development.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eyitayo Oyetunji. Thank you for your time on platform. We wish the commission the very best, because if they succeed, Nigeria will succeed.
I tell you.
All right.
Thank you, Rose.
You're welcome. Olusheye, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
All right, 16 years after, Nigeria gears up for the big deal, talking about the census, and it cannot be sustained, talking about the main goal or achieved without your support. You count, so be counted. I'm Ruth Aguele. That's Platform. Bye.